To introduce you to her, I've been following her for a long, long time, Shirley Ann Lawler. How are you this morning?
Well, Martine,
Now-
thank you so much for
now-
having me.
It is wonderful to have you, especially on Christmas Eve,
Yeah.
because this is an important time for a lot of people who may not be able to access people they love, or for whatever reason they may not have people in their lives, that
Exactly.
connection, and it can be a really lonely time. So thank you so much for joining us today.
My pleasure.
Today. Now, what are we talking about today?
Whoa, what are we talking about today? We're talking about hugging.
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 I love it. A
And
lot of people would be quite scared though about this.
Absolutely.
They hear hugging and they've got one foot out the door.
Mhm.
Yes,
Yes, very much so. I actually do random street hugging. So
Oh
I have
my
a
goodness.
cardboard box with free hugs here.
Oh,
at
okay.
night.
You're not just walking up to random people.
No, I don't walk
that
up
could
to
frighten people
It
off,
would
yes,
frighten
yes,
them. I
yes.
like to give people a choice, so I just stand there, and if they want to come and have a hug, some do, some don't, and then there's others that sort of walk away looking at you with a big smile on their face, thinking, I wish I could do that.
Do you know, this is quite a movement at the moment. I've seen loads of this on Facebook, YouTube, this going all around the world. And I've seen some remarkable things where people hug and they start crying and it becomes really emotional. And I'm assuming some people haven't hugged or had a big hug for a long while, and this has been, you know, something that they haven't thought about. They didn't turn up that morning to have a hug,
No.
but it just randomly came across.
Yes.
So
Well, I can
it's
tell you
amazing.
an amazing story. I was at, I'm from Newcastle, and I was just down the steps from the, down the ramp near the steps at Newcastle Beach one morning with my free hug sign, and I could see this gentleman over near the toilets just watching me for about 20 minutes, and then he walked up to the rail and he said, "Would you hug me?" And I said, "Yes." And he came down, we had a really, really beautiful hug, and he stepped away and he said, "You know, I've been in jail, I haven't had anyone touch me for 6
wow.
years. I will never forget you." He said that was just
isn't it?
really
It's just,
special.
you know,
I know,
it really
I know.
touches you.
And I hear some
Really touches
incredible
you.
stories. Incredible
But sometimes we don't have people that we can hug. And also, we still might not be able to give ourselves in that way for so many reasons.
Absolutely.
Why are people concerned about hugs? What's I know my own issues with hugs.
Yes. Well, that's good.
And I often will tell, especially my girls as well,
Yes.
that if they don't want to kiss or hug someone,
really important.
then they're able to say that, and they're able to give a high five,
Yes.
and to make sure that they give permission, that if they don't feel comfortable, that's not
Yes.
something they have to
So
partake
did they give
in.
a high five thumb hug though?
No,
High five thumb hug.
I like that.
Can everyone see
A
that?
high
So we're just
five
rubbing
thumb
our
hug.
thumbs around
That's
each other.
great. That's
a good one.
great.
We're eye
yes.
hugging at the moment.
Eye hugging.
Eye hugging, we
I
can
like
hand
that.
hug.
Hand hug. Very good.
So there's other ways to hug other than actually full
Hugging.
body, full body
exactly.
contact.
Full
as
body
such.
contact.
Yeah,
Isn't that
there's
interesting?
shoulder hug,
Yeah.
there's cheek hug.
That's right. And I think as well for men, hugging is a problem for quite a lot of men. There's still a social stigma about that, and what are they missing out on?
You know, it's interesting you say that though, because often what I find when I'm street hugging is so many men. I can hug, spend the whole day hugging. No, I don't go for a day, but all the time hugging men and rarely women. So that is changing, but I think it's very much a cultural thing that, you know, they have to be tough and strong and not show emotions. And hugging's very much about, you know, there's an intimacy with it and a vulnerability with hugging.
Absolutely.
And, you know, that's what I want to get across in the workshop. I'm having that to really have that true value in a hug. There has to be vulnerability. There has to be no judgment. There has to be just this open-hearted willingness to be in the hug. And I say the true value of a hug is the presence felt in the moment.
Absolutely.
Okay, it's not the de-stressing, it's not lowering the blood pressure, it's not all the things you see, lots and lots of articles. This is my personal
It's being
point of
present.
view.
Yeah.
It's being present in the hug, and especially with children. Our children just want us to be present with them. Full stop, end of story. And if you have that space and be that present with your children, they'll go off and happily play, and then they'll come back and they want a little bit more of your time.
Absolutely.
Whereas if you're not giving them that presence, then they're just going to be at you all
You know,
the time.
I always say this too. I mean, not that I'm the child whisperer by any means, but I always used to think if you invested in your children in the morning and did things with them, then they were quite happy then for you to go and put the washing out on the line and do bits and bobs that otherwise they're hanging off your skirt all day, mummy, or daddy.
Yeah.
But if you invest a bit of time with them, then they've almost filled their little cup of mummy time. But I mean, it does deplete over time.
It does,
so,
yeah.
And you've got to measure that now.
And the thing with children and hugging, it's really, really important that you hug them as long as they wish to be hugged. You know,
that's fantastic.
You know, and that can be a challenge. My beautiful niece has a 1-year-old, and he is the most scrumptious, huggy, cuddly. He's like a monkey. He just wants to
Can I have
keep.
one of those for Christmas?
Oh, I tell you what, his
lovely.
face just lights up with all this joy. And you know, like with a child like that, it's really hard to be hugging them all the time.
Yeah.
But you do what you can with what you have, and to just hug them as long as you like. Now, I know you're in your head thinking, I've got to do this, but truly, if you just breathe and be present with them, you know, we don't know what's going on in children's heads. We don't know what, you know, physical, mental, emotional stuff, especially with little babies before they're verbal, to be able to, you know, it's our job to protect them and hold them and keep them safe.
Absolutely. We've also had a very much a cultural shift, a generational shift. I mean, I remember my father telling me, now he was born just after the war, so the late 40s, and I remember him saying to me, look, we weren't even allowed in our parents' bedroom. I've never seen the inside of my parents' bedroom. And when you were put to bed as a baby, you cried it out.
Yes, yeah,
you know?
Exactly.
Then the shift in that generation then to me, where I was, you know, hugged, and quite a bit of affection, a lot more than what, that generation had. And then now, I mean, I try not to smother my kiddies too much, but what is next?
Oh, I don't know, but you know, from Wednesday, I was a nurse and a midwife. So when I had my daughter, she's just turned 27 last week, and it was you fed 4 hours fed and you put them down, you know, that just used to break my heart.
Absolutely.
Because I was a nurse, so I did what I was thought was best. But she had my first grandchild like nearly 3 years ago, and to watch the way she mothered was everything that I couldn't be for what
could be at that time.
Yeah, for what, but she had Z on her for a long time, and like the important thing is with children is it builds their self-esteem, it builds their sense of self-worth, it lets them know they're loved and cared for.
And trust as well is a big thing, yeah.
Huge
and they do have scientific evidence for when a baby, and you would know this as a midwife, when a baby is born, skin to skin contact, well, not just the mum, but the dad is essential. And I know my husband was shirtless in our labour room, and straight on there, and that connection there. Yes, yeah.
That's
ultimately, we're all
bonding hormone.
We're animals.
We are.
At the end of the day, aren't we? We need that. We need that. So what got you to wanting to give hugs out to everyone, knowing that you can't be on every, I'm not going to say every street corner, giving out hugs.
I hadn't thought of it like that before. Thanks, Margie.
You can't be at the beach all the time. Sometimes we don't. We need reassurance. We need to be. But how can we do that when we're by ourselves, when we haven't got to a stage where we want to hug someone else?
Well, it's a really great question, because about 3-4 years ago, I developed what I call the self-hug technique.
Wow.
I know, it's pretty special, and it came about because if you hug someone else for 20 seconds or longer, there's lots of research that activates your oxytocin, your happiness hormones. And the other thing that got me thinking was that Virginia Satir is an author and social worker in US, that we need 12 hugs a day.
12?
12. So we need
My
4
goodness.
for maintenance, 4 for survival, 8 for maintenance, 12 for growth. And
12
who
hugs.
gets, yeah.
I mean, if
Kids
you're
need
more
more.
up for 12, the kids need more. If you're up for 12 hours,
Yes.
you got up at 7 in the morning, you
Yes.
go to bed at 7 at night, you need one an hour.
1 an hour, yes.
Who's hugging you here?
Yeah,
I'm glad you walked through the door. That's
you got your
one
hug
this
for the
hour.
day.
Yes, yeah. Goodness, so how can we manage it? For survival.
Yes.
And when we say survival, that means emotional growth, spiritual growth, mental growth, that we're talking about just surviving and feeling okay as a person and confident
and just minimally okay.
Minimally okay. That means you're able to some of the sleep issues that you might be experiencing might alleviate.
Because hugs have so many physiological and psychological benefits. I could sit here for an hour and just rattle. But the great thing about the self-hug technique is you don't need anybody else to be able to do it.
I love this. I love this. Because a lot of people, as we said, aren't up to hugging yet.
No,
and may never be, and that's fine.
Yeah.
But you develop this self-hugging.
Yes. So it's, I call self-hugging the way to self-loving, the way to self-healing. So it's a way to create a deeper connection with yourself, or a connection with yourself if there's no one that you can hug. There's people that live in a house full of people and never get hugged. I live by myself, and I was just walking down the street one day and it was like, so if I hug someone else for 20 seconds or longer, it activates my happiness hormones. And so if I hug myself, well, the same thing happens. So I experimented with different things and came up with this particular hold that activates, acupressure points on the vagus nerve.
Goodness.
And then it's being present with yourself. There's that word again.
Present.
For the 20 seconds that will then stimulate the oxytocin, the happiness
That's amazing.
hormone.
I also like this that you're able to self-hug because and teaching children this is I think really good because it teaches that you don't have to depend on other people.
Exactly. Yes.
You can be independent, do this resilient, have confidence in yourself, and
it's a way to self-regulate.
Mm.
Self-regulate your emotions, so you can go through a tantrum where you say, "Hang on a minute, let me just breathe and do this, and let's just get present with myself, and let just all the anger or stress or whatever that is, let's just let it go." And it takes like 20 to 60 seconds. It's pretty magical. Really.
And you know what? You can do that anywhere. It's not
Absolutely.
intrusive,
No,
is it?
no.
You can do it in the car, at home, if you're in a coffee shop,
Yeah.
or if you're at Christmas dinner with some
Yeah, you
loud,
can be just
obnoxious
sitting there like this,
guests,
not
not naming any names.
Not naming
My family's lovely.
No.
But, you could easily do that.
But it's interesting you mention that because different places I'm going, I'm taking photos of myself self-hugging.
I have noticed it. I am an avid Facebook follower because you do have some magical, motivational and very self-healing and heartwarming chats on your Facebook page. And I have noticed this.
Yes,
now
yes.
I understand.
Yes, because it is something. See, so many people yearn for someone else to give them what they need. And we've got to take our power back and realise that, we can really do it for ourselves most of the time. And I'm not saying not to hug other people, like, gosh, I'm the biggest hugger on the planet.
Yes.
But to self-soothe and self-regulate and to be able to nurture and nourish yourself, self-hugging is really, really powerful and very effective and cost-effective.
Absolutely cost-effective.
And time-effective.
Yes,
It's really cool.
So are you teaching other people how to do this?
Yes.
So this is something that you can teach?
Yes.
Yeah,
Really,
wonderful.
really simple. There's I've got 2 works coming up. 2019.
2000,
oh my
it's
gosh.
next week.
It is next week.
Can you believe it? That jumped up on us.
Yeah, really quickly.
And where will you have those workshops?
At the Newcastle Health Collective in Queen Street, Cooks Hill.
Cooks Hill, yes.
And they're 90 minutes, both of them. The first one is celebrating National Hug Day.
Wow.
Yes, which is a US thing, but you know, I'm embracing it. It's sort of gone global. But
this has really actually gone quite viral.
Yes.
So so this is really timely that we're chatting to you about this. So so when is National Hugging Day?
National Hug Day is the 21st of January.
Right.
So I'm having my workshop at Newcastle Health Collective on the 20th, which is a Sunday at 11 o'clock.
Wonderful.
And so that's called The Healing Power of a Hug, and that's very much about self-hugging and you know, a lot about self-love as well. So we'll be shifting some limiting beliefs. We'll be talking about how to be really present and connected with yourself. And of course, I'll be sharing the self-hug technique as well.
Now, I've got some daughters that could
Oh,
really do.
yes.
Is the age group
No,
you can
over
you can,
5.
over
I would
5,
say.
right?
Yeah, over 5. I think this is such an important thing to share with as many people as possible, and and I love children, so why would I not have them?
I'll bring my Olivia.
Great.
I'll bring my Olivia.
Really cool.
Now that's on the 20th is the workshop on Sunday, so that's quite accessible for then people to come along.
Yes.
And maybe I think it might be good to bring a husband, bring a child with you as well. That would be brilliant to do that.
Yes.
And that's the 20th, and then the National Hug Day is, so you're all ready for the National Hug Day.
I am all ready, and there'll be lots of hugging on National Hug Day out in the streets, I can tell you.
Now tell me, if you don't want to come to a workshop or that day doesn't suit you, are you doing one-on-one?
You know, I do energetic.
If the listeners want to know what I'm doing in the next hour.
Yes, exactly.
Are you doing one-on-one?
I definitely do one-on-ones with people. And I shift energetic blocks. So I'm a changer of limiting beliefs. I have this gift to be able to you start talking, and then I can feel the energy go a bit clunky, and I can just ask you, do you want to shift that? So that's very much about self-love, and that's the next one, which is on the 10th of February. It's the Healing Power of Self-Love, and that piggybacks back on International Day of Self-Love, which is the 13th of February.
You've got it all sorted,
I
don't
have.
you?
So this lady decided that Valentine's Day was all about couples,
on the
about
14th.
Us single women.
Yes, and on the 13th. And it's not just about being single as well, it's about being resilient and independent and being able to, you don't have to rely on other people.
No. So one-to-ones, at the moment I've got an amazing offer, because what I've found, and I know from personal experience in the past, we get so stuck and bogged down and miserable and unhappy, let's say how it is, at Christmas time for many reasons. Money, stress, you know, who do I buy what for? You know,
have I bought enough?
Yeah, have I bought enough?
Are they going
what about the food?
Yes.
Let alone hang out with people that you don't really like for whatever reason.
The car parking situation for me, is it?
Oh, okay, good. Yeah, cool. So at the moment I've got an amazing offer that is $30 for 30 days for 30 minutes. So you can purchase, if you're really stuck and you need some energy shifted, and you just want to have that one-off session, then just PM me on Facebook.
Wow, okay. So what a great idea. So if you're stuck for a gift, or gift yourself, gift yourself. That's what I'm talking about. So you're giving out like one-on-one vouchers.
Yes.
Fantastic.
So there's $30, but you can buy 1 to 30 up till the 13th of February. So I've already had one lady buy the 30, because let's face it, 30 minutes, you can have 30 minutes of self-love mentoring a week for 30 weeks.
Wow.
For $900.
My goodness.
Like, that's pretty amazing.
Yes.
Or you might say, well, I'll just buy 10 sessions or 2 sessions or whatever. So it's about working with people who know where they're at. And
So how can we get onto this then? Onto your Facebook page?
Yeah, Hugging the World to Healing.
Hugging the World to Healing.
Or and it's
Fantastic.
also, I post it once a week on my Shirley Ann Lawler page as well.
Yes.
Or PMing.
Yes, yeah. And so we can we go on there and book the tickets for the 20th and the 10th of Feb?
Well, I've nearly got the event up.
Yes,
I've had an interesting week, but anyway, family arriving trip to see the unexpected.
Yes.
But if you PM me, I'll certainly tag you in. So
fantastic!
Yeah.
And then
it'll
we
be
can
up
just go
hopefully
in
by
there.
the end of today. It has to be up by the end of today.
Well, it has to be.
Has to be.
That's it. That we know what you're doing after
so
this.
the tickets will be $35
That's
for adults, so over 18. So
I love
and
that.
children can more than welcome to come. And it's an hour and a half, so it's very, very doable. with
Very
children.
doable, isn't it? Yes.
Yeah.
Well, I'm going to see you on the 20th at the workshop. I'll bring along my gorgeous Livy,
Right.
and on the 10th of Feb as well,
Yes.
and bring her along to that as well, because
Beautiful.
it's so important, I think, for young boys as well, but for young girls to learn these skills.
Yes, absolutely.
And if we think about, I always think about, if I had only known about you, I don't know, 30 years ago, and those, what you're giving, how our lives might have changed. And so if we can just give that as a gift to our children,
Yes, absolutely.
what wonders that they're going to be. As you say,
Amazing.
you need 4 hugs a day just for mental survival.
Mental and physical and emotional survival.
Amazing.
And they did studies with the orphans in Romania years ago.
It breaks
Tragic,
your heart.
absolutely tragic. And to think that they had to do that sort of study on those children to come up with what we now know about deprivation,
Touch deprivation, yes.
Yeah.
And if people don't know, I mean, that really came to light, I guess, the 90s, wasn't it?
Yes.
With the orphanages, not just in Romania, but a lot of orphanages where kiddies were unfortunately just put in a cot.
Yes.
They were, their nappies were changed, they were fed, but they
Yes.
weren't touched,
No.
weren't
They
spoken
weren't
to,
nurtured.
they weren't nurtured, and they had severe intellectual delays,
Absolutely.
emotional
Huge.
problems,
Huge.
and a lot of them couldn't walk, talk, were quite
And a lot of physical, like
absolutely.
in nappies for
forever.
a long time.
Yeah. So
Very
the evidence
sad.
is there that we need to hug.
There is, and it's so simple. And if you get on my Hugging the World to Healing YouTube page, there's actually a video there that I put up on the inaugural International Day of Self-Hugging that I declared on the 25th of November.
That you declared?
I declared because I really feel it is that important that this needs to be celebrated, and self-hug days every day. It's not just the 25th of November, which is my birthday, by the way, but that's beside the point. That was just the day I chose. And so, self-hugging is a daily practice, and it is a practice, and the more you practice, the deeper you get that connection to yourself, and the quicker you can get those, like 3 seconds now, it's like, I can feel the change in my body, the energy.
Fantastic. Thank you, Shirley Ann, so much for
Pleasure.
chatting with you today. And I do appreciate you explaining to us what it's all about and defluffing it, which I think is really important as well.
Yes.
So you guys will know what we're doing in the next hour if all I play is music and I don't talk.
Yes.
It's time for the news. Thank you so much.
That was so awesome.